Imagine a single key that changes how you think, what you want, and how you obey. For some submissives, that key sits on a ring, tiny, metallic, loaded with ritual and meaning. Today, we'll explore why. Hello, my pets, and welcome into the Dungeon, the podcast for submissives to learn, grow, be entertained, and to ultimately find empowerment in their lifestyle. I'm your host, Kat Nash, the Music City Dominatrix, and today we're diving into the science, the myth, and the sacred little rituals that make chastity more than just denial. It becomes transformation. So let's start with definitions. When I say chastity in our context, I mean consensual orgasm restriction or device-based lockup used inside BDSM, femdom dynamics. Everything from short-term gameplay, for example, you're going to be scrubbing my kitchen, put this cage on during it, to long-term lifestyle chastity. For example, your orgasms now belong to me. You may not come. It's different from religious chastity. So here, human choices, consent, rituals, and psychology drive the power. For some, chastity is just that. They remain chaste. I personally expect this of any sub I give the honor of calling mine. Their orgasms now belong to me. And for most, that means that release is a thing of the past. For others, chastity includes having a device to help prevent them from touching themselves. And we'll get into the pros and the con of this in a minute. But first, why even talk about this? Well, in case you hadn't noticed what month it is, it's LOCKTOBER, bitches. Well, actually, every month is LOCKTOBER for my subs, but you may choose this time to test yourself or test your submissive. So let's get into the science, the headspace of this a little bit. Y'all know how much I love that. Orgasm and sexual activity trigger measurable neurochemical and endocrine responses. Think dopamine, oxytocin, prolactin, cortisol, and transient testosterone changes. There have been several controlled studies showing that short-term abstinence can shift testosterone levels. For example, one experiment recorded a testosterone spike around day 7 of abstinence. Another controlled study showed that acute abstinence didn't change the overall neuroendocrine response to orgasm, but it did note elevated testosterone after periods of abstinence. The bottom line is, sexual behavior and short-term abstinence can alter hormonal states, and you can use this to your advantage. Some examples are to level up your workouts, especially if you know the 7-day, once you hit 7 days, that can be fucking challenging for many people, especially if you regularly orgasm daily or multiple times a day. To get to that 7-day mark, it's going to be on your mind a lot, probably. And keep in mind that it won't necessarily, there's a threshold. It won't be on your mind all the time. But if you know that this is going to be a challenge for you, now you know the science that your testosterone is going to spike right around the time that you're finding it the most challenging to abstain. So use this to your advantage. Level up your workouts. Start an intimidating project. Plan important meetings that you know, like conversations you don't want to have, but you really want to be boss. Or, as I appreciate, become a better fucking submissive to your goddess. I've found firsthand, discovered accidentally, but it was just something that I really noticed, how abstinence completely changes a male's service. And pretty much all women out there have noticed an extreme drop off in appealing behavior from men after they orgasm. So it stands to make sense that building up abstinence and building up lack of orgasm is just going to make you better and more dedicated and more attuned to your partner. Hormonal shifts, however modest, may intensify sexual desire. I've noticed this in subs. When they can't have it, oh my God, do they want it? They have heightened focus on partner cues and feed the psychological hunger that chastity channels into obedience and ritual. For many submissives, they find that life becomes more sensual. All their senses become more acute and more in tune. The senses of sight, of sound, touch, smell, taste, everything. Life just becomes more sensual. It's like a buildup of their senses. But equally important are the short-lived neurochemical effects. Dopamine surges with expectation but lack of release. So your dopamine levels are going to be higher. And the interplay of desire and denial, it just creates a really potent psychological loop. So let's get deeper into the psychology of how and why chastity can be so potent. Psychologists often point to two big drivers: the reward expectation systems and meaning making. So first of all, the reward and anticipation system. Chastity amplifies anticipation. Neuroscience shows that anticipation of reward often lights up brain regions more strongly than the reward itself. So that means that the anticipation of the reward lights up those the reward parts of your brain more than actually receiving the reward does. Wow, So in practice, being denied, possibly teased, or given conditional release makes the moments of attention and reward feel exponentially more meaningful. Secondly is identity and ritual. Chastity is just rich with ritual. The key, the lock, the kneeling, a pledge, the devotion. Rituals create psychological anchors that help to shift identity or create transformation. A submissive wearing a cage doesn't just refrain from orgasm. They are reminded hourly or daily of their role, of their place. That daily repetition helps to rewire self-concept through consistent cues. It helps to suppress that raging male ego. This can be made even more impactful with the use of a chastity device. The restriction, the weight, the heaviness, the possibly throbbing pain, consistent reminders of your place. And number 3, power and surrender. There's a paradox. Surrendering sexual agency to someone else can feel deeply powerful. It's the paradox of submission, man. Submitting control of the body's release is a typically boundary-crossing act that creates deep trust, dependency, and a strong connection. I have several subs that are in chastity for me at really any given moment, and they consistently expound upon the constant reminders of who they belong to. This helps to give their everyday life more meaning. And to be clear, I'm not regularly reminding them. This is your orgasm belongs to me, either abstain or lock it up type of thing. I'm not constantly haranguing them or checking in to make sure they're following the rules. I'm not babysitting their chastity. I expect anyone who is evolved enough to belong to me to have a modicum of self-control. Yes, they are mine. They may no longer orgasm, period. But I do love hearing feedback from how it has changed their lives. And this is shockingly consistent. Most subs find that they begin to excel at their work. Many of them hit long-time fitness goals. And for most, they feel a long-lasting sense of almost like completion, like they're complete, like their every day has more purpose. They belong. Orgasms are no longer in their control, so they begin to stop thinking about it. And the amount of time and energy that they experience as a result is oftentimes shocking. Now, this is after they hit that like 7-day threshold or that like weekend, a couple days there where it is really taking over their mind. But once they get past that without even, a little bit of stimulation, if they can get past not even stimulating themselves whatsoever, they get past that point, they're shocked by how much they can achieve, how much they can overcome mentally, I'm not saying that it's a walk in the park. And for most, there is that real struggle at first. But, it's a fun struggle. It's beautiful, It's not like a really, really horrible struggle. It's a consensual struggle by choice because they know it leads to something better. And it's fun and kinky to give up your orgasm control to someone else. So maybe your interest is piqued and you think you may want to give it a try. Or perhaps you are familiar with chastity already. Here are a few quick reminders. Number 1, medical safety check. Know your anatomy. If you have any urological issues, diabetes, or circulation concerns, if something is painful, or swollen, or you notice discoloration, you've got to remove the device and probably seek care. You have to be smart about this, especially if you're using the device, If it's just blue balls, fucking get over it, But if you're using a device, definitely be hyper aware of any issues. You do not want to create lasting damage, okay? Number 2, if you are to have a key holder for a chastity device, make sure to negotiate and communicate first. Just know the expectations, especially I know there are lots of subs out there who will go to mail a professional dom for the month of Locktober or for whatever. I want you to be my key holder to professional doms. I offer this service as well. Make sure that you have the expectations on, you both know your expectations. What's going to be the duration? What's the release criteria? Are there safe words or codes? That's more of an in-person thing, And clear emergency removal procedures must be agreed upon beforehand. I've heard of femdoms having all the keys to a sub's chastity device, even long distance ones that they mail to them. I highly advise against this. While it may sound hot to have a key holder truly hold that control in their hands, like you've mailed them your keys and you have none to unlock, I feel like you should always have a spare key just in case of unforeseen emergencies. Be fucking smart, dudes, okay? One thing you can do is to have a sub or for you to freeze a key in a big block of ice. Get one of those gallon-size freezer bags, fill it with water, drop your key in there and freeze it. It's big, it's hard to chisel out. That way you can't really just absent-mindedly unlock yourself when the urge strikes. You have to put thought and intent before commencing. So you have to get out the block and decide that it's time and chisel away at it until the key is free. But the point is that it is there, it is handy, and you can save yourself if you need to. And number 3, hygiene and comfort. A regular removal schedule, cleaning, skin checks, Use well-fitting devices because the poor fit is the main cause of injury. For me personally, the thought of an unclean, caged cock is absolutely repulsive. One word for y'all, smegma. So I actually have subs unlock and clean it thoroughly every day. Or sometimes they just wear the cage at specific times. For example, they have to wear it at bed. They have to wear it to sleep. Or at a certain time, like their workout, or they must wear it while at work, or if they go out. It's a psychological reinforcement. Locktober doesn't mean that you have a cage on for the full month of October. Locktober is a term referring to maintaining chastity. Your orgasm is locked with another. It doesn't need to be physically locked. And you definitely don't need to keep it on and unwashed that whole fucking time, okay? You don't have to wear a cage for the whole month of October or whenever you're enforcing chastity, if this is not in October when you're listening to this, or reinforcing it by listening to it. If you've decided to go the chastity device route as opposed to just pure and simple abstinence, there are a plethora of different cock cages on the market. And I know a woman who uses a chastity belt for herself, for her dom, regularly. Hers is hard plastic. I don't know about any other ones. I'm sure there's more extensive female chastity devices. But for men, I know firsthand that there are a variety of different materials available. I have experience with the hard plastic ones, metal cages, like heavy metal cages, and even chainmail. The company Locked in Lust makes a chainmail cock cage, and also I believe that there are softer silicone devices available as well. So some chastity devices are crafted for long-term comfort, like silicone or some plastic ones. Some are heavy metal to serve as a weighted, constant reminder. There are cages that have spikes inside of them to cause pain if you start to get hard. I have a device that offers a remote control vibrations and mild electroshock. Though it's new and I've only used it on one sub, it really doesn't seem that mild. It's pretty gnarly and I fucking love it. But Locked in Lust also makes a cage that is inescapable. And I once met a sub who had a piercing and cock cage specifically made to go through the piercing. So that one was definitely inescapable. There are some cages that are super tiny, and I truly think that they do shrink your penis. There are just so many different options out there. I personally enjoy the use of cocks on occasion, so shrinking a penis to nothing holds very little appeal to me. But I have known submissives who have effectively minimized their penis size by continued use of smaller and smaller chastity devices. If you do happen to use Locked in Lust for your chastity order, you can get a discount by using the code KATNASH, KATNASH. I think it gives you a 10% discount, and I'm sure they're having amazing sales right now in October. I personally love their chainmail cock cages because I'm totally into the whole knighted submissive vibe. But be forewarned, that cage hurts if you get hard. So you have to be into that pain. And number 4, one more bit of advice. If you are a partnered submissive, I suggest having a chastity protocol structure. So create rituals and rules that provide clarity. A cleaning and check routine, check-in journaling, a daily kneel ritual, service tasks to earn privileges outside of the cage. These are all different ideas. These rituals reinforce obedience and give structure to the denial. An example of a daily chastity ritual, I'll go ahead and do with you right now. So if you have a cage, then get it ready. And if you don't, that's fine also. Right now, I want you to go through this chastity ritual with me. I want you to kneel. We're going to breathe together. So breathe in, hold it, breathe out with me. Breathe in with me. Hold it. We'll sync our breath and breathe out with me. Good. And now, with your head bowed while kneeling, if you have a chastity cage, I want you to begin putting it on. If you do not, You may continue. Both instances, I want you to say the mantra, I live to serve my goddess. I live to serve my goddess. You may put the cage on while you do this, or if you are not using a cage, in your mind, I want you to mentally cage yourself as a testament of your submission to me or to whomever you have in mind to devote your upcoming chastity to. Let's see how well you can do. So for some, dipping their toes in the kiddie pool of Locktober goes on to become a treasured protocol in their dynamic or their personal life, even unowned subs. Why does chastity oftentimes become such a life changer? Well, because it offers identity anchors. It offers sustained erotic focus. This is like that sensuality, increased sensuality I was talking about. And it enforces a relationship economy. You have to earn release, or you have to earn freedom from the cage. And these transformation rituals. For many submissives, the device becomes a living symbol of service. It's not just a toy, but it's a talisman that reminds them of who they are and to whom they belong. Chastity is not magic. It's a carefully constructed psychological environment where ritual, expectation, and consent combine to create powerful changes in identity and behavior. Use it intelligently, use it with care, and use it to deepen your connection. If this episode resonated, leave a review, send a question, or tell me, what ritual would you start tomorrow if you wanted to make your obedience holy? This is Kat Nash, Into the Dungeon. And remember, submission is not a weakness. It's a deliberate act of strength. Thank you for joining me this week. And as always, stay kinky, my pets.